up to 30 miles an hour in the afternoon. Chance of rain 20%. Monday night, partly cloudy in the evening, then becoming mostly clear. Much cooler with lows around 40. Northwest winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. The hazardous weather outlook through tonight for North Texas. This afternoon and tonight. Gusty winds will continue this afternoon with peak wind gusts approaching 45 miles an hour. Driving may become difficult for high-profile vehicles. Thunderstorms are expected to develop west of Interstate 35 late this evening and will move across North Texas. A few storms could be severe with a damaging wind and hail threat. Isolated tornadoes will be possible within the line of thunderstorms tonight. Spotter activation is not expected at this time. And now the hazardous weather outlook for Monday through Saturday. Isolated thunderstorms are possible west of Interstate 35 Wednesday afternoon. The current time is 10:08 p.m. Central Daylight Time. You're listening to NOAA All Hazards Radio, the voice of the National Weather Service, station KEC 55, serving the Dallas-Fort Worth listening area. The following reports of weather temperature and wind were made at 10 p.m. DFW Airport, cloudy, 67, dew point 57, relative humidity 70%, wind south at 16, gusting to 25, pressure 29.49 inches and rising. Fort Worth Meacham, cloudy, 66, south at 20, gusting to 30. Dallas Love Field, mostly cloudy, 67, south at 15, gusting to 28. Arlington, cloudy, 68, southeast at 21, gusting to 35. Denton, cloudy, 67, south at 20, gusting to 30. Mineral Wells, light rain, 67, south at 17, gusting to 26. Elsewhere around the region, Wichita Falls, cloudy, 58, south at 12. Abilene, cloudy, 63, southwest at 10. Waco, cloudy, 68, south at 23, gusting to 32. Tyler, partly cloudy, 66, southeast at 21, gusting to 32. Once again at 10 p.m., DFW Airport, cloudy, 67, south at 16, gusting to 25. The following reports of weather temperature and wind were made at 10 p.m. DFW Airport, cloudy, 67, dew point 57, relative humidity 70%, wind south at 16, gusting to 25, pressure 29.49 inches and rising. Fort Worth Meacham, cloudy, 66, south at 20, gusting to 30. Dallas Love Field, mostly cloudy, 67, south at 15, gusting to 28. Arlington, cloudy, 68, southeast at 21, gusting to 35. Denton, cloudy, 67, south at 20, gusting to 30. Mineral Wells, light rain, 67, south at 17, gusting to 26. Elsewhere around the region, Wichita Falls, cloudy, 58, south at 12. Abilene, cloudy, 63, southwest at 10. Waco, cloudy, 68, south at 23, gusting to 32. Tyler, partly cloudy, 66, southeast at 21, gusting to 32. Once again at 10 p.m., DFW Airport, cloudy, 67, south at 16, gusting to 25. Now let's check on your local forecast for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Severe thunderstorm watch 60 in effect until 3 a.m. Monday. Tonight, thunderstorms, showers. Lows in the mid-50s. South winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, diminishing to 10 to 15 miles an hour after midnight. Wind gusts up to 35 miles an hour are possible. Chance of rain near 100%. Monday, partly sunny in the morning, then clearing. A slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the morning. Highs in the low.
Russia mourns the victims of the terrorist attack at a concert hall. A major cross-country storm, more than a dozen states under winter alerts, and the clock is ticking for Donald Trump, who has only hours to come up with nearly $500 million. But first, the attack in Moscow, a day of mourning as the death toll there rises. Crowds pay tribute at the concert hall, even as the search for more victims continues. The suspects hauled into a police station. ISIS is claiming responsibility, but Vladimir Putin insists there is a link to Ukraine. Also tonight, the new storm hammering the heartland with more than a foot of snow possible in some areas, including blizzard conditions, plus the threat of severe storms, including tornadoes in the south. And a search for a 6-year-old girl swept away by rushing waters in Pennsylvania. The looming deadline for Donald Trump. He has until tomorrow to secure a bond for $464 million in his civil fraud case. But can he pay it in time? And if he does not, could he lose some of his landmark properties? Aaron Katersky on the former president's dilemma. The war in Gaza. Vice President Kamala Harris tells our Rachel Scott an Israeli attack on Rafah would be a huge mistake. And she's not ruling out consequences if Israel presses forward. Matt Gutman reports from the region following the week-long raid at Gaza's largest hospital. United on notice. The FAA is now increasing its oversight of United Airlines after a series of troubling incidents. New reporting on what action the agency could take. The deadly incident on a cruise ship in the Bahamas. The news just coming in on how 2 crew members died. A deadly attack by a mountain lion in California, the first verified one in that county in nearly 3 decades. 1 brother killed, another injured. Blowing the whistle on the referee. Why, this official was removed mid-game during March Madness. And America strong tonight. The neonatal nurses and the baby who stole their hearts.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. Russia is in mourning tonight after the loss of more than 130 people in that terrorist attack at a concert hall in the capital, and the death toll is rising. Some families are still awaiting word on their loved ones who remain missing since gunmen opened fire on the popular and crowded venue. Once again today, crowds gathered leaving flowers and remembering the victims. Russian President Vladimir Putin lighting a candle. He has signaled without evidence that Ukraine is behind the massacre, which the Biden administration vehemently denies. The White House insists ISIS-K is solely responsible. And just before coming on the air tonight, Russia charged 4 suspects already in custody with terrorism offenses. ABC's Lama Hassan leads us off tonight from London, and a warning that some of the video in her report could be disturbing.
Tonight, a national day of mourning in Russia. Hundreds lining up to pay tribute at a growing makeshift memorial, laying down flowers. And President Putin lighting a candle in memory of the victims of that horrific concert hall attack on Friday. The death toll continues to rise. Authorities now say at least 137 are dead, more than 180 injured. Emergency personnel painstakingly sifting through wreckage at the scene today. Officials still working to identify some of the dead. Many still waiting for news of their loved ones. This man says he's still searching for his wife. He hasn't heard from her since she sent him pictures from inside the concert hall on Friday night. Newly obtained video by ABC News shows the terrifying moments the gunman first stormed the complex. People scattering as gunshots ring out, building makeshift barriers. The person filming this video escaping up a nearby escalator. 15-year-old Islam Khalilov, working in the hall's cloakroom, being hailed as a hero. After Russian state TV released video showing him directing dozens of people to safety. Russia says it arrested all 4 of the gunmen and 7 alleged accomplices. Authorities releasing video today allegedly showing the suspects in FSB custody, saying 4 of them have now been charged with committing a terrorist act and that 2 suspects have admitted their guilt. ISIS has claimed responsibility for that attack, though Putin has blamed Ukraine, a notion Vice President Kamala Harris flatly rejected to ABC's Rachel Scott.
There is no whatsoever any evidence, and in fact what we know to be the case is that ISIS-K is actually, by all accounts, responsible for what happened.
And Lindsay, following that horrific attack in Moscow tonight, the French Prime Minister raising the threat level there to the country's highest level, saying they took ISIS's claim of responsibility and general threats facing the country into account. Lindsay.
Now, multiple countries, including France, have now condemned that attack. Lama, thank you. Back here at home, millions are bracing for a major cross-country storm. It's already battering the heartland. These images coming in from Iowa, where heavy snow made for brutal driving conditions. That system is now moving east. Later in the week, the Northeast could see more heavy rain. Here's ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore.
Tonight, the massive winter storm, more than 1,000 miles wide, now racing across the heartland. Drivers sliding off the road on I-35 north of Des Moines. Plows racing to keep up with the heavy snow. 16 states on alert.
We have winter storm warnings and the pink blizzard warnings and winter weather advisories pretty much all across Minnesota.
In the east, a desperate search for 6-year-old Lenasia Brooker, swept away in a rain-swollen creek outside Philadelphia Saturday evening.
I haven't had sleep. I can't eat. Only thing I'm thinking about is finding her.
First responders looking for her all night long and through the day, using every asset at their disposal.
We have fresh sets of crews, fresh eyes, again, going up the Chester Creek and checking on both sides of the creek bank from where the subject went in all the way down to the mouth of the Delaware.
And tonight, word they've now transitioned to a recovery effort.
What a heart-wrenching outcome there. Samara joins us now. Samara, I know you're tracking that major cross-country storm. Can you time that out for us?
Yes, Lindsay. So this storm is a multi-day event. We have winter alerts right now spanning the northern plains, blizzard warnings in Nebraska, parts of Colorado where they could see over a foot of snow and whiteout conditions while traveling on the roads. Meanwhile, the southern tier of the storm bringing the threat for severe weather tonight through Wichita down to Oklahoma City, and tomorrow that transitions to states like Louisiana and Mississippi, where we could see a few tornadoes out of these storms and damaging winds. Timing this all out, this storm system continues to sweep through tonight. You can see parts of Dallas seeing strong thunderstorms. Tomorrow morning, that commute could be a dangerous one for places like Arkansas and southern Missouri. And then as we head into tomorrow evening, that's when it arrives in Louisiana and Mississippi before headed into the Great Lakes, bringing them heavy rain Tuesday morning. Lindsay?
People need to take time. Samara, our thanks to you. And speaking of time, it is running out for former President Trump to secure a $464 million bond in his civil fraud trial. Trump's lawyers say he's facing insurmountable difficulties, but the New York Attorney General is already preparing for a possible seizure of Trump's assets. ABC's senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky joins us now. And Aaron, now just hours until the deadline, any indications that Trump is ready to pay?
I don't think he can pay. His lawyers have said, Lindsay, he can cover at most about a quarter of the civil fraud judgment, and anything more, they've said, would be a practical impossibility. Trump has claimed on social media he's sitting on $500 million cash, but he hasn't provided any evidence. His lawyers said he may have been referring to money accumulated over the years that he intended to spend on his campaign, but he's now complaining Democrats are trying to bleed him dry amid all his legal woes. Trump actually hasn't spent any of his own money on his campaign since 2016. And if he fails to post a bond, New York Attorney General Letitia James can begin freezing accounts and seizing assets. But there's no indication that has to start tomorrow, especially, Lindsay, with Trump's request for a reprieve pending before an appeals court.
We will soon know if it is an impossibility, as his attorneys say. Aaron, thank you. We turn now to the Israel-Hamas war and the intense battle at the Al-Shifa hospital, one of the largest and longest raids since the war began nearly 6 months ago. ABC's Matt Gutman reports in tonight from Tel Aviv.
Tonight, Israel calling its ongoing week-long raid into Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital one of the largest and most successful operations of the 6-month war. Palestinian witnesses calling it something else. Hellish. The IDF says it detained over 800 men since the surprise raid began early last Monday, claiming 480 of them are Hamas and Islamic Jihad members. The military says it has killed at least 170 people and avoided civilian casualties.
The IDF has assisted the sick and the wounded and helped move many of them out of harm's way.
The IDF releasing video showing troops delivering food, but saying it's in a standoff with militants who are holed up in certain parts of the hospital along with civilians. In November, during Israel's first raid of Al-Shifa, we walked through the surrounding neighborhood. already in ruins.
You can see just the utter devastation around here. Every car destroyed. Almost every single building we see damaged from the fighting here.
This time it has been nearly impossible to contact people inside. The telecommunications signal has been down all week. But the displaced from the hospital trudging miles in tattered sandals and in tears. This woman saying, the walls collapsed, doors came down on my baby. Others simply too overcome to talk.
Overnight, an Israeli delegation comprising its top defense officials is set to land in Washington for talks about this looming offensive into Rafah, something, Lindsay, that the Biden administration continues to call a mistake.
The White House clear in its opposition. Matt, thank you. Ahead of that high-level meeting tomorrow in Washington that Matt just mentioned, Vice President Harris issuing the strongest warning yet to Israel. Harris said the U.S. has not ruled out consequences for Israel if troops do, in fact, go into Rafah. ABC senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott tonight with more of her exclusive interview.
With Israel ready to launch an offensive into Rafah, with or without U.S. support, tonight Vice President Kamala Harris not ruling out consequences if they move forward.
Let me tell you something. I have studied the maps. There's nowhere for those folks to go. And we're looking at about 1.5 million people in Rafah who are there because they were told to go there, most of them. And so we've been very clear that it would be a mistake to move into Rafah with any type of military operation.
A mistake, but would there be consequences if he does move forward?
Well, we're going to take it one step at a time, but we've been very clear in terms of our perspective on whether or not that should happen.
Are you ruling out that there would be consequences from the United States?
I am ruling out nothing.
Those comments come amid a widening rift between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Biden. Israel insists Rafah is the last major stronghold of Hamas. But Biden facing political pressure, warning an invasion of Rafah would be a mistake.
What we are seeing here, I think, with a forced famine is beyond our ability to deny or explain away. There is no targeting of Hamas in precipitating a mass famine of 1 million people, half of whom are children.
After Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called for new elections in Israel, Republicans on Capitol Hill speaking with Netanyahu virtually behind closed doors. In an interview with our Jonathan Karl, Senator Marco Rubio reaffirming his support.
You cannot have a country in which this threat continues to exist. They have to finish this job, and this fighting can end tomorrow. You want a ceasefire in Gaza? It's very simple. Hamas should surrender.
Rachel Scott joins us now from Washington. Rachel, I know that you also spoke with the Vice President about reproductive rights as the U.S. Supreme Court hears oral arguments this week in a case that could impact access to the abortion pill. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, and the Supreme Court is expected to take up that case on Tuesday. At the center of it, a debate over whether the FDA should have approved access to the abortion pill mifepristone, which is used in more than half of abortions in the United States. In our interview, the Vice President stressing the importance of abortion care remaining widely available, Lindsay.
Rachel Scott for us. Thanks so much. Tonight, one of the country's largest airlines, United, is under renewed scrutiny from the FAA after a series of recent mishaps. According to Bloomberg, the agency is considering limiting its routes. ABC's Faith Abube joins us now. And Faith, these are certainly drastic measures that the FAA is considering.
Lindsay, these potential restrictions would be substantial and effectively keep United Airlines from expanding its business, at least in the short term. Tonight, the FAA is confirming it has increased its oversight over the airline to identify hazards and ensure safety. But Bloomberg, which is citing unidentified sources, adding details, reporting that the agency is also considering blocking the airline from adding new routes and also restricting it from flying paying passengers on newly added flights. Now, the new report also adding that the FAA has already suspended the airline's ability to approve and promote pilots. This all coming after a series of safety issues recently. United has put its employees on notice, telling them to actually expect an increased presence of the FAA in their operations while still stressing that safety is their top priority. Lindsay.
This could, of course, have widespread impacts. Faith, thank you. Holland America says an investigation is underway with local authorities into the deaths of 2 crew members aboard a cruise ship in the Bahamas. ABC's Rena Roy has the details just in.
Tonight, an urgent investigation into the deaths of 2 crew members aboard a cruise ship in the Bahamas. The captain breaking the news to passengers.
He was audibly crying. It was shocking
to hear that. Holland America blaming an accidental steam release for the deadly incident inside an engineering space Friday morning during a week-long sail from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, while the ship was stopped at Half Moon Cay.
The entire ship turned somber. We asked for a moment of silence.
The cruise line identifying the victims as Joseph Tirado, an engineer, and Wawan Gusnawan, a wiper on the ship. Maritime law firm Walker & O'Neill sending us video that they say shows the engine room and was given to them by a former crew member. The firm says the workers were installing filters there when a steam compensator unrelated to their duties exploded, the room engulfed by steam. The lawyers calling the incident a catastrophic explosion combined with a series of mistakes in responding to the accident.
And tonight, Bahamian police confirming that they are investigating this incident. Lindsay?
Truly catastrophic, Rena, thank you. A horrific mountain lion attack in rural northern California has left one brother dead and another badly hurt. It's the first verified fatal incident of its kind in California in 20 years. Here's ABC's Zareen Shah.
Tonight, the chilling dispatch audio of a mountain lion attack in Northern California that left one man dead and his brother injured while hunting for antlers shed by wildlife.
We got a report of a subject attacked by a mountain lion. Code 3 fire and medical are en route now.
The El Dorado County Sheriff's Office says they received a call Saturday afternoon from an 18-year-old who said a mountain lion attacked him and his 21-year-old brother.
Medical is with the first patient, 18-year-old male, who last saw his brother, a 21-year-old male, pinned down by the mountain lion.
Deputies and paramedics on the scene within 20 minutes, finding the mountain lion next to the 21-year-old on the ground.
The mountain lion was facing the deputies, and in an attempt to get to the individual to render first aid, they discharged their firearms.
But it was too late. The older brother was dead. Fatal mountain lion attacks in California are rare. According to the state's Department of Fish and Wildlife, the last verified one was more than 20 years ago.
And Lindsay, as for that 18-year-old, he was rushed to the hospital. A family spokesperson says he's undergone multiple surgeries and is expected to make a full recovery. Lindsay?
Glad to hear that, Zareen. Thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, including new autopsy reports for Riley Strain and why the NCAA took an extraordinary step, removing a referee at halftime. Next tonight, a preliminary autopsy on Riley Strain shows no sign of foul play. The 22-year-old from Missouri was last seen in downtown Nashville on March 8th after leaving a bar. His body was found Friday in the Cumberland River. Police tell our Nashville affiliate WKRN Strain's death appears to be accidental. And when we come back, dueling jackpots, why there may be a run on lottery tickets. To the index now, there were no grand prize winners in Saturday's Powerball drawing, so the jackpot for Tuesday's drawing has grown to an estimated $800 million. Meanwhile, the Mega Millions jackpot is up to a whopping $1.1 billion. Good luck. And next, something unexpected that happened during March Madness. Referee Tommy Paris was removed at halftime of the NC State Chattanooga women's game on Saturday. The NCAA says she had an undisclosed background conflict. An online profile for Paris says she received a master's degree from Chattanooga. Another referee finished the game. When we come back, the nurses who turned months of care into a lifetime of love. Finally, the nurses and the baby who changed their lives forever. Taylor and Drew Darris are both registered nurses. They met while working in the neonatal intensive care unit at Methodist Women's Hospital in Nebraska. During the peak of the pandemic, they tied the knot. Both took care of a premature baby named Ella, who was born at just 23 weeks.
She was very sick. She was on a ventilator. There was times where the doctors would tell us, watch her. I don't know if she'll make it through the night tonight.
During the 8 months that Ella was in the NICU, Taylor and Drew became very attached to her.
She became a ward of the state. So that's when we kind of took over. Instead of being her nurses, we were her foster parents. I was holding her more. I was starting just to read her books and do those motherly things.
The guard that you had up prior to protect yourself of not falling in love with someone else's child, it just fizzled away. This child needs me and I need them.
Ella Shell.
Then a few months ago, Taylor and Drew officially adopted Ella. The little girl who was never expected to walk or talk will be 3 in May. and is now thriving with her forever family. What a love story. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Rooms to Go Patio Anniversary
Pressure was
sale.
30.10 inches and rising.
The free umbrella offer
At
is
Kinley,
back. Shop out the...
it was mostly cloudy. Visibility 10 miles. Temperature was 54 degrees, dew point 28. And the pressure was 30.10 inches and steady. Marietta, it was mostly cloudy, 55 degrees, wind east at 18 miles an hour. Mableton, it was mostly cloudy, 56 degrees, wind east at 8 miles an hour. Peachtree City, it was partly cloudy, 57 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour. Lawrenceville, it was mostly cloudy, 52 degrees, wind east at 12 miles an hour, gusting to 21 miles an hour. Kennesaw, it was mostly cloudy, 55 degrees, wind east at 16 miles an hour. Elsewhere around the region, Athens, it was partly cloudy, 50 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour. Gainesville, it was mostly cloudy, 51 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour, gusting to 18 miles an hour. Macon, it was partly cloudy, 51 degrees, wind east at 8 miles an hour. Columbus, it was partly cloudy, 60 degrees, wind southeast at 13 miles an hour, gusting to 20 miles an hour. Birmingham, it was mostly cloudy, 64 degrees, wind east at 12 miles an hour, gusting to 25 miles an hour. Rome, it was partly cloudy, 58 degrees.
The most important guarantee of success in achieving these goals is the protection of national sovereignty and the security of our people against external and internal threats. I have said this many times and we all understand this. Therefore, the people of our country, the people of Russia expect the Federal Security Service, FSB, and all officers of Russian security services to display utmost concentration and high commitment, productive and proactive measures. As I said earlier, the most critical and intense aspect of your work today is undoubtedly related to the special military operation. You are facing a broad range of tasks in this respect. I commend your efforts in neutralizing enemy agents, terrorist cells and subversive groups, as well as your successful operations at the front and behind enemy lines, along with counterintelligence support from military units and formations. I urge you to continue your consistent efforts to strengthen the personnel and technical capabilities of FSB units in the Donetsk People's Republic, the Lugansk People's Republic and the Zaporozhye and Kherson regions. I must emphasize the importance of fully understanding the situation on the ground and relying on the support of the people and our experience of countering international terrorism. Moreover, maintaining close collaboration with the local authorities is crucial. I would like to note at this point that at one time the West actively used various cross-border radical and terrorist groups and, in part, encouraged their aggression against Russia. Predictably, the neo-Nazi Kiev regime has also switched to terrorist tactics, with similar external support and often under direct instructions. This includes the shelling of peaceful cities, assaults on government officials and public figures, and attempts to recruit perpetrators of subversive and terrorist attacks targeting critical infrastructure and public spaces in Russia. I would also like to recall the recent provocative statements by a number of official Western structures regarding potential terrorist attacks in Russia. All these actions resemble outright blackmail and the intention to intimidate and destabilize our society. You are well aware of them, so I will not go into details at this point. I am asking the Federal Security Service, together with other special services and law enforcement agencies, to step up their counter-terrorist efforts in all areas in a meaningful way, with the National Anti-Terrorism Committee playing its coordinating role. We must understand that we are dealing with a formidable and dangerous adversary who has a wide range of informational, technical, and financial tools up its sleeve. Make no mistake, we know what they are capable of in all these areas, including in terms of intelligence gathering, and we are aware of the terrorist methods they use too. Suffice to mention the bombing of the Nord Stream pipelines in the Baltic Sea. They would resort to anything. In this context, the units in charge of defending the constitutional form of government and fighting extremism pursue important objectives. You must be firm and prompt in stopping short any attempts to sow discord, provoke interethnic conflicts and violate the rights and freedoms of our people, as well as attempts to exploit Russophobia or any other intolerant ideology. In this regard, our counterintelligence bodies play an instrumental role, including when it comes to combating terrorism and extremism, since it is the same Western special services which are behind their manifestations, and on other important fronts. This includes neutralizing reconnaissance and sabotage efforts by the Western Special Services, protecting strategic confidential information, including data stored in the state and military administration systems, as well as information on advanced technologies and solutions for the military and other sectors we are currently working on. The adversary sees that we have it all and that there is a lot of positive momentum. It is obvious that they are targeting us in this context too. Moving on, much has been done lately to strengthen the state border, especially sections of it that de facto run through the combat zone. Border control units received additional manpower, the latest weapons and equipment. Mr. Bortnikov, comrades. Today, at the expanded meeting of the board, you will review your performance last year and discuss your immediate priorities, including in the context of the strategic objectives outlined in my address to the Federal Assembly on February 29. First, I would like to say that in 2023, the service personnel demonstrated competence and efficiency across all spheres of their operation, reaffirming the high status and prestige of the service as a key element in ensuring the national security and sovereignty of Russia. You focused on fulfilling the tasks related to the special military operation. You reliably protected our constitutional order and thwarted attempts to interfere in our internal affairs, including during the recent elections. You guarded public safety. Acting in difficult conditions and often during hostilities, you protected our state border and scored new achievements in the fight against terrorism and extremism. I would like to express gratitude to the FSB personnel for their professionalism and courage and for everything you have done for our motherland during the complicated and extremely responsible period under review. Our utmost appreciation is reserved for those who undertook extremely difficult missions in Donbass and Novorossiya, risking their lives to fulfill operational and combat intelligence and counterintelligence tasks. Of course, we will never forget the service personnel who have fallen in the line of duty and will always support their families. The heroism of our comrades in arms, just like the courage shown by the heroes of the Great Patriotic War and all defenders of the freedom and independence of our motherland, will forever serve as a guiding light for the current and future generations of security service personnel. Comrades, the challenges we are facing and attempts to undermine our development require from us systemic, consistent efforts in all areas, in the economy, technology, culture, the social sector and the consolidation of our government and public institutions. The most important guarantee of success in achieving these goals is the protection of national sovereignty and the security of our people against external and internal threats. I have said this many times and we all understand this. Therefore, the people of our country, the people of Russia expect the Federal Security Service, FSB, and all officers of Russian security services to display utmost concentration and high commitment, productive and proactive measures. As I said earlier, the most critical and intense aspect of your work today is undoubtedly related to the special military operation. You are facing a broad range of tasks in this respect. I commend your efforts in neutralizing enemy agents, terrorist cells and subversive groups, as well as your successful operations at the front and behind enemy lines, along with counterintelligence support for military units and formations. I urge you to continue your consistent efforts to strengthen the personnel and technical capabilities of FSB units in the Donetsk People's Republic, the Lugansk People's Republic and the Zaporozhye and Kherson regions. I must emphasize the importance of fully understanding the situation on the ground and relying on the support of the people and our experience of countering international terrorism. Moreover, maintaining close collaboration with the local authorities is crucial. I would like to note at this point that at one time the West actively used various cross-border radical and terrorist groups and, in part, encouraged their aggression against Russia. Predictably, the neo-Nazi Kiev regime has also switched to terrorist tactics, with similar external support and often under direct instructions. This includes the shelling of peaceful cities, assaults on government officials and public figures, and attempts to recruit perpetrators of subversive and terrorist attacks targeting critical infrastructure and public spaces in Russia. I would also like to recall the recent provocative statements by a number of official Western structures regarding potential terrorist attacks in Russia. All these actions resemble outright blackmail and the intention to intimidate and destabilize our society. You are well aware of them, so I will not go into details at this point. I am asking the Federal Security Service, together with other special services and law enforcement agencies, to step up their counter-terrorist efforts in all areas in a meaningful way, with the National Anti-Terrorism Committee playing its coordinating role. We must understand that we are dealing with a formidable and dangerous adversary who has a wide range of informational, technical, and financial tools up its sleeve. Make no mistake, we know what they are capable of in all these areas.
Elevated fire danger conditions are possible this afternoon and early evening due to low relative humidity. And now the extended outlook for the period Monday through Saturday. Showers and isolated thunderstorms are expected Tuesday morning through Thursday afternoon. At this time, the potential for severe thunderstorms is low. Spotter information statement. Spotter activation will not be needed through tonight. The current time is 11:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The following reports of weather, temperature, and wind were taken at 11 p.m. Atlanta, it was mostly cloudy. 55 degrees, dew point 29, relative humidity 36%. Wind east at 13 miles an hour. Pressure was 30.10 inches and rising. At Chambly, it was mostly cloudy. Visibility 10 miles. Temperature was 54 degrees, dew point 28. And the pressure was 30.10 inches and steady. Marietta, it was mostly cloudy, 55 degrees, wind east at 18 miles an hour. Mableton, it was mostly cloudy, 56 degrees, wind east at 8 miles an hour. Peachtree City, it was partly cloudy, 57 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour. Lawrenceville, it was mostly cloudy, 52 degrees, wind east at 12 miles an hour, gusting to 21 miles an hour. Kennesaw, it was mostly cloudy, 55 degrees, wind east at 16 miles an hour. Elsewhere around the region, Athens, it was partly cloudy, 50 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour. Gainesville, it was mostly cloudy, 51 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour, gusting to 18 miles an hour. Macon, it was partly cloudy, 51 degrees, wind east at 8 miles an hour. Columbus, it was partly cloudy, 60 degrees, wind southeast at 13 miles an hour, gusting to 20 miles an hour. Birmingham, it was mostly cloudy, 64 degrees, wind east at 12 miles an hour, gusting to 25 miles an hour. Rome, it was partly cloudy, 58 degrees, wind southeast at 14 miles an hour, gusting to 24 miles an hour. Chattanooga, it was mostly cloudy, 59 degrees, wind south at 10 miles an hour. Asheville, it was mostly cloudy, 45 degrees, wind south at 9 miles an hour. Augusta, it was partly cloudy, 47 degrees, wind east at 5 miles an hour. St. Simon's Island, it was partly cloudy, 57 degrees, wind northeast at 15 miles an hour, gusting to 23 miles an hour. Here is the official forecast from your National Weather Service for the Atlanta listening area. Rest of tonight, mostly cloudy. Lows in the lower 40s. East winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Monday, windy. Mostly cloudy in the morning, then becoming partly sunny. Highs in the lower 60s. East winds 15 to...
Blinding snow and wind. Heavy snow already coming down. Whiteout conditions in the plains. Cars skidding off roads in Iowa. Winds set to hit 60 miles per hour. On the East Coast, roads underwater. Hundreds of thousands without power. And the desperate search for a young girl swept away in a creek. The $500 million deadline for former President Trump just hours away now. How the New York Attorney General could freeze his bank accounts and seize his iconic buildings if he doesn't pay. Dramatic video of a Carnival cruise ship on fire. What the passengers told us.
Immediately when we stepped down on our balcony, the first thing you saw was just black smoke.
Plus, the 2 staffers killed while aboard a Holland America voyage. An attempted kidnapping caught on camera, and the mother who fought the assailant down 4 flights of stairs.
It's my baby. Can't take her.
Home sales surging. The real estate market makes a surprise comeback. Why are buyers pulling the trigger now? The scientists who say they're going to bring the woolly mammoth back from extinction within years. But should they? And the new message from Princess Kate, how she's reacting to the massive show of support.
This is NBC Nightly News.
It's truck season at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check it.
Good evening, I'm Laura Jarrett. If you had hoped that winter would just gently roll into spring, we've got some bad news for you tonight. Winter is nowhere close to being done with a huge chunk of the country. This is the scene in the Midwest today. Snow coming down at rates of 2 inches per hour. The strong winds creating whiteout conditions. In the Northeast, they're digging out. Parts of Vermont and Maine saw nearly 3 feet of snow, while the rest of the Northeast saw torrential rain that led to flooding and water rescues like this. All of this just the lead up with full-on blizzard conditions set to barrel across the plains in the Midwest starting tonight. We are covering it all, beginning with Jesse Kirsch in Minneapolis.
Tonight, the first weekend of spring, filled with rough weather, is wrapping up with a whiteout. In Williams, Iowa, blowing snowmaking for hazardous driving today, as parts of the plains brace for blizzard conditions into the night. 2 inches of snow per hour, paired with powerful winds. And Minnesota's Twin Cities could see half a foot of snow by Tuesday.
this doesn't make you flinch at all?
No, absolutely not crazy at all. It feels good. My dog loves it.
Snow also a welcome sight at Palisades Tahoe, the California resort getting 27 fresh inches since Friday. Meanwhile, severe weather threatens the south through Tuesday across multiple states, bringing the possibility of hail, tornadoes, and flash flooding. Parts of the Northeast digging out from over 2 feet of snow.
I was hoping that this was over for the season.
As New York City braced for high winds Saturday, this uprooted tree landed on a car. Meanwhile, Philadelphia was hit by more than 3 inches of rain on Saturday alone. In nearby Chester, Pennsylvania, authorities say 2 young children playing near a swollen creek slipped on mud and fell into fast-moving water. One was saved, but a 6-year-old girl went missing.
At least let us have closure in finding her.
Tonight, officials say their desperate rescue attempt has become a recovery mission.
Regardless of if it were an adult, a strong swimmer, a child, anyone would have had trouble once they fell in those waters.
Once you're in that moving water, it really is near impossible for you to get out.
And Jesse joins us live from Minneapolis tonight. Jesse, there's late word of tornadoes?
Yeah, that's right, Laura. The National Weather Service confirming at least 2 twisters have touched down today. One in Kansas, the other hitting Texas. And that severe weather is from the same storm system that's causing all of this snow to fall. It's expected to keep coming down here in the Twin Cities until Tuesday. Laura?
Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much. The clock is ticking for President Donald Trump. He has until tomorrow to post a bond of nearly $500 million as he tries to appeal that massive judgment for financial fraud. If he doesn't come up with the money, Mr. Trump could see some of his most famous properties seized. Here's Vaughn Hilliard.
Tonight, former President Donald Trump on the brink of possible financial peril.
We have a great company, but they want to take it away.
He has just hours left to find more than $450 million in cash to post an appeal bond in New York before Monday's judge-ordered deadline. And if he fails to do that, New York Attorney General Letitia James can begin seizing his major properties and other assets.
It's all politics.
Trump claims the money is not an issue, even posting on his social media account that he has nearly $500 million in cash on hand. But in court, his lawyers are making a different claim, filing a motion earlier this week to delay him having to post the bond by tomorrow, saying he did not have the necessary cash. In that motion, they wrote that the current bond demand is a practical impossibility and that 30 insurance companies had already rejected his terms.
Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing.
To avoid the AG from taking next steps, he could potentially receive a large loan or financial gift from others, have a fire sale of properties, or declare bankruptcy.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
James has already filed judgments on Trump's Seven Springs estate and Trump National Golf Club in Westchester. She could also potentially move to acquire his 72-story skyscraper on Wall Street or his Fifth Avenue Trump Tower. This crucial deadline coming the same day that Trump will be in New York for a hearing related to his pending criminal trial over his alleged scheme to cover up hush money payments to Stormy Daniels around the 2016 election. The judge is expected to set a trial start date during tomorrow's hearing.
And Vaughn joins us now outside Trump Tower. Vaughn, is there any sign he could actually pay all of this in time?
Laura, at least publicly, there is no major billionaire floating Trump this money yet, but it is certainly reasonable that he could still work out a deal and come up with this bond here in the 11th hour. Laura?
Vaughn Hilliard, thank you. Russian President Vladimir Putin is vowing revenge for that horrific terror attack in Russia. 2 suspects were charged today as the death toll rises to at least 137, with dozens more still missing. Matt Bradley has the latest.
Today, Moscow mourned. A rare silence over this city 2 days after Russia endured its deadliest terror attack in 20 years. That's why we're with the country. We're together, said this mourner. The death toll rose again today to 137, according to Russia's government, including 3 children. As emergency workers continued searching for more dead under the rubble of this vast concert hall, and investigators searched for clues. One survivor recounting the terrifying moments gunfire erupted, people trying to run for safety, and then seeing bodies on the ground. It was clear they had no signs of life. We realized then that there would be no hostage taking. He said, we had to do something, to run away, because it was somebody coming to kill. 2 of the suspects were seen today in a video released by Russian authorities as police transferred them to investigators. But more than 80 people are still missing. Among them, Igor Pogodiev's wife. I ran among the ambulances, searched among the crews, and asked questions, he said, but I couldn't find anyone. Islamic State quickly claimed responsibility for Friday night's attack, a claim American intelligence backed up. The group even released a video showing the gunmen filming themselves as they marauded through the Crocus City Hall, hunting victims and shooting them at point-blank range. But Russian officials, including President Vladimir Putin, have repeatedly implicated Ukraine. America's government fears Putin will exploit the attacks as a pretext to rally support for his war in Ukraine. Matt Bradley, NBC News.
Some terrifying moments for passengers on board a Carnival cruise after part of that massive ship burst into flames near the Bahamas. Tonight, we are also learning new details about a deadly incident involving 2 workers on a separate cruise. Here's Marissa Parra.
This weekend, a relaxing cruise turning terrifying for passengers.
Holy crap, that is not good.
Heath Barnes filmed this video yesterday of flames billowing from the back of the Carnival Freedom cruise ship.
What was going through your mind?
I was shocked. I mean, I looked out there and you're not supposed to see black smoke and fire shooting out of the tail end of the cruise.
The ship was just off the coast of the Bahamas when Carnival says the fire started in the exhaust funnel during severe weather.
I'd say 2:30, 2:45. The loudest thunder, lightning clap that I have ever heard in my life happened. It scared us so bad.
Carnival saying in a statement, while we continue to investigate multiple eyewitness reports of a lightning strike, inspection today revealed the damage is more than we first thought and will require an immediate repair, adding there were no guests hurt. This now the second time in 2 years a Carnival Freedom funnel has caught on fire.
This is, of course, a very serious and sensitive situation.
No guests injured in that 2022 incident either. Meanwhile, Bahamian authorities are investigating a deadly incident aboard a Holland America cruise ship. On Friday, the company says accidental steam release in an engineering space on board killed 2 crew members.
I met a couple. They said that they saw a burst of steam erupt from the side of the ship.
Lainey Doss was on board and says the mood immediately turned somber.
People were crying. There was a moment of silence. When the captain announced what happened, his voice broke. He started crying, and that just was absolutely heartbreaking.
Holland America says the ship was determined to be fully operable. The cause still under investigation. Marissa Parra, NBC News, Miami.
Now to the surprising new numbers that show home sales surging in the U.S. after high mortgage rates had slowed the market. So what's behind this new real estate comeback? David Noriega reports.
Cracker Barrel cheese. Tonight's the night. And boy, you are going to shine. Bold, rich, and smooth. Wow, that's impressive. Cracker Barrel cheese. Impressive every time.
After many sluggish months, an unexpected surge in home sales.
It was kind of a fresh breath of air for us in the real estate community and definitely caught us off guard.
Tom Hernandez is a realtor in Los Angeles. He says after 2 years of scarce listings, the market is finally loosening up.
My production's probably almost doubled since the beginning of the year, both buyers and sellers.
Sales of existing homes rising 9.5% nationwide in February, the largest month-to-month increase in a year. In the western U.S., home sales skyrocketing 16.4%. This comes even as home prices continue to rise, and mortgage rates, though lower than their peak last year, remain stubbornly high.
Trying to see mortgage rates of 3%, 4% is out of the question. 5%, I think it's hard-pressed to get there. But I think consumers are understanding that 6%, 7% are the new normal, and they're just looking for more choices.
So what's behind the surprise heat in the market? For one thing, inventory is up.
For a couple of years now, people have avoided putting their homes on the market because they wanted to hang on to their super low interest rates. But those rates have softened slightly and life happens. People need to move, so that's starting to change.
Newly renovated kitchen, all the appliances stay.
For home buyers, those who can brave the high prices, it's nice to have options.
I'm looking for a property to purchase, so recently I see that there is more inventory in the market.
The big question now is this a momentary surge,
Or will this spring bring even more of a thaw to the housing market? David Noriega, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Still ahead tonight, heart-pounding video of an attempted kidnapping. How quick thinking by that girl's mother may have saved her life. Plus, it's been lost to the ice age for centuries. Now scientists want to revive the long-lost woolly mammoth. But is that really a good idea? We are back now with heart-stopping video of an attempted kidnapping here in New York City. A young girl grabbed right outside her apartment door. Her mother jumping into action to save her. George Solis spoke to that mother about the fight for her daughter's life.
Terrifying moments, all captured on camera. A teen entering her Queens apartment is ambushed by a masked man. Watch again. A man dressed in camo, jumping her from behind, forcefully grabbing the teen and dragging her away. The woman chasing after her is her mother, Adriana Alvarez.
I never heard her scream like that.
You weren't thinking about your safety at that point.
No. No, absolutely not. No. No, it's my baby. Can't take her.
Adriana followed as the man continued to drag her daughter away. The three kicking and fighting all the way down 4 flights of stairs. The harrowing ordeal unfolding this past January as her 18-year-old daughter Lex was coming back home after finishing a morning dog walk.
He managed to grab my hair through the door. I remember being thrown onto the heater.
The NYPD identified the suspect as 25-year-old George Vasilou, her daughter's former co-worker. He pled not guilty to a slew of charges related to the attack. Tonight, his attorney not commenting.
He's just pepper spraying me. He's punching me.
The brawl reaching John Velez's first-floor apartment.
I heard her screaming. She ran to my apartment. I started chasing him. He ran across the street.
Enter neighbor Gus Bugas, who ran after him.
And I threw him on the floor. And once I got on top of him, he couldn't go nowhere.
Alvarez says she suffered a dislocated shoulder and eye injury. Her daughter amazingly sustaining minor knee scrapes. Price of a mom putting herself in harm's way, but coming up a hero.
Yeah, I just had angels by my side. I'm just so grateful and so thankful just to have her back.
George Solis, NBC News, New York.
So glad she's okay. We are back in a moment with a controversial new plan to bring the extinct woolly mammoth back to life. It didn't turn out so well in Jurassic Park, so should researchers do it now? Prince William and Princess Kate are speaking out following Kate's announcement that she's being treated for cancer. In a new statement from Kensington Palace, the future King and Queen of England are said to be, quote, enormously touched by the kind messages from people in the United Kingdom and around the world. The 42-year-old Kate said she's moved by the support and is asking for privacy as she undergoes chemotherapy. Well, for anyone who's seen Jurassic Park, and even those who haven't, it's pretty well understood that bringing dinosaurs back to life might get pretty messy really fast. But now, in real life, there's an ambitious new plan to bring the woolly mammoth out of the Ice Age and into the 21st century. But just because scientists can, should they? Morgan Chessie has the story.
At Colossal Biosciences in Dallas, the mission is clear. Pair cutting-edge science with high-tech tools to reach a goal of prehistoric proportions.
We're less than 5 years away from seeing mammoths back on the planet.
Not if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen.
It is simply a function of time. So two really...
Which is why co-founder and CEO Ben Lamb says now's the time to embrace the term de-extinction, the process of creating an extinct species, or at least an animal, that resembles one. In Colossal's case, the woolly mammoth, which died off roughly 4,000 years ago. The company announced a major breakthrough, how to essentially reprogram the cells of elephants, allowing Colossal to then recreate their modern-day version of a mammoth. You'd be forgiven if all this sounds like...
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
We've heard the Jurassic Park comparison once or twice, right? Now, we're not taking, dino DNA and putting in frog DNA. We're not taking mammoth DNA and putting in elephant DNA. We're actually doing it in exactly reverse.
Asian elephant DNA, to be exact, because according to Colossal, it's the closest living relative to its prehistoric predecessor, a 99.6% match.
The return of the woolly mammoth essentially starts here.
Yes, absolutely.
We joined Dr. Ariona Haisoli, lead researcher on the Woolly Mammoth Project.
So we're looking at essentially an Asian elephant in cellular form.
That's actually correct, yes.
Colossal says this process will allow them to not only bring back other extinct animals, but also save animals on the brink of extinction, and even improve the environment by restoring the animals to old habitats.
Even though Colossal admits that this is a major breakthrough, the company does stress don't expect to see any real-life woolly mammoths for at least the next few years. But in the science community, there are researchers who not only have questions here, but are concerned.
Number one, it's not really a mammoth. It's a mutated Asian elephant.
Dr. Vincent Lynch specializes in genetics and evolutionary biology at the University at Buffalo and stresses timing is everything.
To put them back now isn't to replace something that was once there, but it's to put an invasive species into an environment in which it's never been before.
Is there 1% in the back of your mind of where something could go wrong?
We're doing the best that we can to collaborate with all the top scientists, bioethicists, and conservationists around the world to ensure that it goes as right as possible, but there will always be some risk in any large moonshot for society.
A mammoth-sized moonshot. Coming soon. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Dallas.
That's NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. Lester Holt will be in for tomorrow. I'm Laura Jarrett. For all of us here at NBC News, good night.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
"46 degrees, wind southeast at 6 miles an hour. Augusta, it was partly cloudy, 46 degrees, wind east at 6 miles an hour. St. Simon's Island, it was partly cloudy, 57 degrees, wind northeast at 16 miles an hour, gusting to 23 miles an hour. Here is the official forecast from your National Weather Service for the Atlanta listening area. Rest of tonight, mostly cloudy. Lows in the lower 40s.
Israel's top defense staff is set to meet with U.S. leaders in Washington. The Biden administration will try to convince Israel not to move forward with a planned assault on Rafah. Meanwhile, Israel continues an intense week-long battle with Hamas at the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. Israel says it detained almost 500 men who are Hamas and Islamic Jihad members. The IDF says no civilians were hurt or killed.
IDF has assisted the sick and the wounded and helped move many of them out of harm's way.
Israel says militants are holed up in parts of the hospital with civilians, and the standoff continues. 2 Georgia men are facing charges after being accused of stealing thousands of dollars from a dementia patient. Floyd County investigators say David Berman, a licensed notary public, notarized a document giving Russell Eugene Smith a power of attorney over the finances and resources of that victim. The victim is a resident at the Etowah Landing Nursing Home in Rome. We're now less than 4 days from the start of the Major League Baseball season, and the Braves open this Thursday in Philly. And the excitement for the new season has fans ready to grab tickets to see them in person. According to ticket site StubHub, the Braves have the 3rd highest demand for tickets out of all Major League teams. Sales are also 34% higher compared to the same time a year ago. Leading the way in demand are the Dodgers, Yankees, the Braves, then the Phillies and Cubs. When you factor it all in, all Major League teams, ticket sales are up a whopping 60% compared to 2023. As it gets warmer outside, prepare to see more snakes here in Georgia. The Georgia Poison Control Center said just last week, snakes bit 4 people, including a 2-year-old. There are several venomous snakes in Georgia, but most of the venomous snake bites, they come from the copperhead. That's the snake that caused 4 emergency calls to the Poison Control Center.
A 2-year-old who was in their yard playing and was bitten on the foot and required, medicine, required antivenom. So it was a pretty serious case, a case that was eventually transferred to one of the local hospitals.
The Georgia Poison Control Center says that if you are bitten, you should go to the hospital immediately. The Powerball jackpot is inching closer to $1 billion. That's because no one got all 6 winning numbers in last night's drawing. So here is the new jackpot, a whopping $800 million. The Mega Millions jackpot, it got even bigger this weekend also. It's now at $1.1 billion. The next Mega Millions is Tuesday night. The next Powerball drawing, that is tomorrow night. And the only place that you can watch both drawings live is right here on Channel 2, right before WSB Tonight at 11. Well, looking ahead to our next chance of rain, and that will include showers and even the potential for some thunderstorms. I'll time it out for you hour by hour coming up. Women focusing on self-defense in the aftermath of the murder on a UGA's campus.
So they know they can survive a situation, so they have all these tools on their belt.
Police training so they know how to fight off an attacker.
Hi, my name is Caroline, and I just got my air ducts cleaned from Stanley Steamer. Stanley Steamer's done our carpet cleaning and hard surface cleaning for years. Once that yellow truck pulled up in the driveway, I knew I was...
Possible this afternoon and early evening due to low relative humidity. And now the extended outlook for the period Monday through Saturday. Showers and isolated thunderstorms are expected Tuesday morning through Thursday afternoon. At this time, the potential for severe thunderstorms is low. Spotter information statement. Spotter activation will not be needed through tonight. The current time is 12:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The following reports of weather, temperature, and wind were taken at midnight. Atlanta, it was mostly cloudy. 55 degrees, dew point 29, relative humidity 36%. Wind east at 16 miles an hour, gusting to 24 miles an hour. Pressure was 30.11 inches and rising. Around Atlanta, Chamblee, it was mostly cloudy, 53 degrees, wind variable at 6 miles an hour. Marietta, it was mostly cloudy, 54 degrees, wind east at 13 miles an hour, gusting to 21 miles an hour. Mableton, it was mostly cloudy, 55 degrees, wind east at 8 miles an hour, gusting to 21 miles an hour. Peachtree City, it was partly cloudy, 55 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour. Lawrenceville, it was mostly cloudy, 51 degrees, wind east at 9 miles an hour. Kennesaw, it was mostly cloudy. Elsewhere around the region, Athens, it was mostly cloudy, 50 degrees, wind east at 8 miles an hour. Gainesville, it was cloudy, 53 degrees, wind east at 10 miles an hour. Columbus, it was partly cloudy, 58 degrees, wind east at 13 miles an hour. Birmingham, it was mostly cloudy, 63 degrees, wind southeast at 14 miles an hour, gusting to 29 miles an hour. Rome, it was mostly cloudy, 57 degrees, wind southeast at 15 miles an hour, gusting to 23 miles an hour. Chattanooga, it was mostly cloudy, 58 degrees, wind south at 14 miles an hour, gusting to 24 miles an hour. Asheville, it was mostly cloudy, 46 degrees, wind southeast at 6 miles an hour. Augusta, it was partly cloudy, 46 degrees, wind east at 6 miles an hour.
Cells after a woman was killed on UGA's campus, and they spent their Sunday practicing doing what it takes to fight off an attacker.
In this room of women, you'll find a group of fighters.
I have a business. I work alone a lot of times at my business, and I also carry guns.
Jen Hudgens has always been ready to protect herself, but in this women's safety workshop hosted by the Clark County Sheriff's Office, she's ready to take it to the next level.
Not to so much be afraid all the time, but be aware. You know what's going on around you.
But we've done this in the past. We actually, for the first time, did it about a year ago.
But the desire to learn how to protect themselves has grown over the past month after nursing student Laken Riley was killed while out on a midday run on UGA's campus.
This, I think, it hit home because it hasn't happened in a long time.
In this class, they learn from officers and community leaders about precautions, communication, but also this hands-on training. So they're ready if they find themselves in the face of danger.
I think this should always be something that goes on, whether or not a tragedy has happened. I think this has definitely brought more awareness of what we need to be doing.
And building, I guess, confidence within these ladies that were taking this class, we give them that extra sense of hope so they know they can survive a situation. So they have all these tools on their belt.
For Jan.
The class left her feeling better prepared.
I need to feel confident, and taking things like this will increase my confidence to better protect myself. I can do it. I'll go crazy on you.
Well, the Women's Safety Workshop is free but limited to 25 participants. Clark County will host another workshop that is on April 20th. More details now. Jose Ibarra is charged with Laken Riley's murder in Athens last month. He's an undocumented immigrant who illegally crossed into the country in 2022. Police say Ibarra and Riley did not know each other. Ibarra is now in jail without bond. For the first time in decades, a mountain lion attacked and killed a man in California. It happened yesterday afternoon while two brothers were out searching for antlers north of Sacramento. Deputies say a 21-year-old was found dead with a mountain lion nearby 30 minutes after his brother called 911. Residents say seeing mountain lions in the area is common.
Yeah, the sightings nonstop up here now. See them in packs, 2 or 3, and that wasn't common.
The victim's brother was taken to the hospital. Game wardens recovered the body of that mountain lion. For the second day in a row, thousands of people returned to Blackburn Park for the final day of the Brookhaven Cherry Blossom Festival, and it celebrates the start of spring and the blossoming of the cherry trees in the park. The event drew in crowds from all across the state with food and music. Performances today included Bare Naked Ladies and the Crash Test Dummies.
I'm just enjoying all the bands from when I was growing up.
This is the 8th year of the event. Let's keep you ahead of what's happening next with our weather. Here's a live look over Midtown Atlanta, where we enjoyed a dry weekend, but changes are coming this week. And meteorologist Ashley Kramick live for you in Severe Weather Center 2 with how cold it could get, and then we have rain coming in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's going to be chilly. You know, last week we had temperatures in the 70s. It felt so nice outside. I'm not seeing really any 70s in our near forecast, unfortunately. And we have more rain that's going to be rolling in over the next several days. Thankfully, tomorrow you don't have to worry about the rain. Any plans you have, we're looking dry for our Monday, but by Tuesday, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be back in the forecast. The only good news is with the rain, it's going to help out the pollen. And you probably have noticed that pollen, it is accumulating out on the cars everywhere. It's turning yellow and green. We've seen this number really go up over the past several days, and we actually recorded our first extreme day last week. What we have going for us for this week, we're going to have these dry and breezy days. We have warm, dry, and breezy days that tends to really increase the pollen count, and we are in the peak of our growing season, so I do expect this number to increase for the week ahead. There's a live look over at Centennial Park this evening, I should say, where we do have a little bit of that wind that is picking up here. Temperature now down only to 55, so still a pretty mild evening for mid to late March. We're in the low 50s over in Canton, 55 right now in Eatonton, 53 in Carrollton. What we also have going for us is the wind, and it's beginning to get a little breezy, especially on the north and west side of town, where winds are gusting up to about 20 miles an hour. We actually have a wind advisory that goes into effect at midnight tonight for those counties in blue. So that's the northwest side of town here. That's where the potential for winds to be steady between about 20 to 25 miles an hour. We could see gusts as high as 40 miles an hour. So timing this out for you, winds breezy for tomorrow morning. That easterly wind will bring in more clouds as well, so kind of setting up a wedge for us for our Monday. And we'll stay with the breezy winds through Monday night into early Tuesday morning. We'll begin tomorrow morning with temperatures in the 40s. We're going to finish off the day with more clouds and sunshine, only getting up to about 63 for the afternoon. Changes coming for our Tuesday. What we're going to be watching is this cold front here. That'll be approaching us Monday night. And by Tuesday morning, really late morning, scattered showers start to work their way in. We could also hear a few rumbles of thunder as well. And this should be clearing out of here by Tuesday evening. So not expecting anything with severe weather out of this, but we will likely see some decent rainfall in our 5-day forecast. That weekend always in view, not bad. We get back up into the 70s on Wednesday. That's probably gonna be our warmest day of the week. And then going into our Easter weekend, pretty warm for us. We'll be back into those mid to upper 70s as well. Candace?
All right, Ashley, thank you so much. It is one of the biggest sports weekends of the year, and Georgia could be missing out on millions. But the bill that could sooner